if you've been feeling overwhelmed, there's nothing wrong with you. There is a way of being with your thoughts without requiring you to push them away. And that's kind of what we want to do, right? We want to push our thoughts away. When our thoughts overwhelm us, when our thoughts just keep going over and over and over, and we're stuck in that cycle of rumination, or we're just heated and we just can't get over it, and we're just constantly thinking, and that builds up our sense of overwhelm, because it gets to a point where we can't take it anymore. So we force ourselves to stop thinking about it, to stop thinking, to stop, just because we want to quiet our mind. We want to finally have some rest. And so that's oftentimes where we get it wrong. We're trying to silence our thoughts rather than just allowing it to happen. See, observing oftentimes can turn into judging our thoughts, analyzing our thoughts, reframing our thoughts. But that's still effort. That's still fixing. That's still putting in a lot of energy and giving a lot of attention to the thing that you want to stop thinking about. So here's the thing. Observing without fixing means not changing or correcting it. It's just noticing that the thought is there. You don't observe thoughts to change them. You observe them so that you don't have to be inside them. And that's an important step. See, when we try too hard, all of that energy gets focused into the very thing we don't want. But if we let go and we just observe without judging, without fixing, without correcting, and we just notice the thoughts, notice that the thought is there, what that does is that signals safety to our nervous system. That's what really needs to happen first. Before trying to address anything else, we need to bring a sense of safety to our nervous system, because regulation comes before insight. It's hard to really kind of figure out, have this great revelation when we're still activated, when we're still emotional about the thing that we're thinking about. And it's hard for us to have a breakthrough if we don't interrupt that anxiety. We have to first come to a place of safety in our nervous system. And that starts with noticing our thoughts, observing our thoughts, without the judgment, without the fixing, without the analyzing, without the interpreting what the thoughts mean. It's just noticing them, noticing that they're there, so that we can experience a sense of calmness in our nervous system. All of last year was pretty hard. I was going through quite a bit, and I was stuck in this rumination. I was stuck in anxiety. I was stuck in my insecurities. And I really turned to hiking as a way to kind of escape. At least that was my motive. I was just trying to get out. I just needed to get out. But in that process, I discovered something. Hiking allowed me to be in a different environment. It allowed me to be amongst the trees and the rivers and the streams, and it just allowed me to be in the fresh air. And there is where I began to observe the environment. I was watching the moss on the trees. I was observing the little mushrooms. I was looking at the trees swaying in the wind, and the leaves fluttering as the breeze came through. And I was watching the waterfall, or I was watching the trail in front of me, and I was listening to the sound of the crunching leaves on my feet. As I was in nature, as I was just out hiking, that gave me the context to start observing something that was outside of me. Rather than being focused on my thoughts, I could focus on something else. I could focus on my external environment. And what I learned was, the more I learned to observe my environment outside of me, it actually modeled how I can observe what's happening inside of me, my internal environment, my thoughts, my emotions, how I was feeling. See, when I was hiking, I wasn't judging the trees. I wasn't judging the moss. I wasn't judging the little butterflies fluttering around, the bees. I wasn't judging the river. I wasn't judging the rock inside the river, making the water go around it. I wasn't judging the birds. I wasn't judging anything. I was just watching. I was just observing nature. And that modeled for me how to observe my own thoughts without judging, just observing that they were there. And so by witnessing nature, it showed me how to just be a witness to my thoughts. Just put on hold the interpreting, put on hold the judging and the critical thinking and the critical thoughts about what I was thinking about. Just being a witness to my thoughts. They're there, and they're happening. Here it goes, here it comes. Now, I know that the beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves when we have thoughts, I know that they matter. Stories matter. The stories we tell ourselves matter. But not when we are feeling threatened, not when our nervous system is feeling activated of anything that goes against us. Because when our nervous system is activated, our beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves become distorted. They get skewed and colored by those activated feelings that our nervous system is experiencing. So the thing is, we have to first find safety, a sense of safety in our nervous system. Our beliefs and our stories that we tell ourselves, they land best when we feel safe. But if we're not feeling safe, that's just going to cause us to amplify that anxiety. Does that make sense? So what I learned was insight, those epiphanies that we have, those realizations, those breakthroughs, all of that happens when we have a regulated body. We don't skip doing the inner work. We just change the timing of it. We prioritize regulating our nervous system so that we can feel safe. Then we can do all that other stuff. Then we can do the inner child work and all that other stuff. But first, we find safety. And in order to find safety in our nervous system, when we're trying to figure out what to do with our thoughts, is not forcing them, allowing them to happen. It's not about ignoring them or escaping them. It's about allowing them to happen without forcing the thoughts or forcing how we should think or forcing ourselves to think in a certain way. So the forcing creates tension. And the thing is, in order for us to settle, we have to take a posture of observing our thoughts in a way that is non-forcing. Meaning, we allow it to happen so that we can observe it. It's like when in nature, when we're looking at the stream, the creek, the river, and you've got these rocks or boulders in the river. The water doesn't concentrate all of its energy to moving the rock. It just goes around the rock. The water continues to flow without the agenda of moving the rock. It just moves, it just flows. And if we do that with our thoughts, in terms of allowing the thoughts to come and us observing what those thoughts are, then that allows us to settle. Because the thing with observing our thoughts is it creates space. It creates space between our thoughts and our experience. And so if we can observe the thought that we're happening, if we can observe the thought that we're having without judging it, then that means we're outside of our thoughts. We're not immersed in our thoughts. Clarity oftentimes will arrive on its own when we give ourselves the chance to feel safe. The problem is we are desperately trying to find clarity while we are in a state of anxiety. So first, we start with safety. We regulate our nervous system, we breathe, we take the time to regulate our breathing, and then we take the time to take a step back and to create space from the experience by observing our thoughts. That space will give us the capacity to have clarity, because it's that space and it's that sense of safety that calms our nervous system so that we can then begin to observe in a way that can be a lot more meaningful. Safety creates space, and space makes observation possible. So, if nothing else, maybe let this be enough for today. Not fixing your thoughts, not understanding everything that I've shared with you right now. It's okay. Not trying to fix it, not trying to fix your thoughts, not trying to completely understand everything right now, but just noticing. Just notice that you're here. Just notice that you're here listening. Just notice that you're here observing right now. And then observe that you're okay. You're safe. I'll leave it there.